Hello, hello, Vanessa J. and Tina Margaret coming to you live with Ageless and Unapologetic, episode 2. Today we are talking all things cortisol. Tina, how's it going?
It's good. It's really good. But I know I am unapologetic today. Anyways, that's how I feel like I'm in that mood. But cortisol's huge.
It is huge. It is huge. And I think a lot of people think it's like all bad. And I don't think it's all bad. It's really just understanding what it is so you know how to navigate it and have it serve you rather than it not serve you at all, right?
100%. Because it's just, you just need to be able to calm your nervous system. Cortisol is like your stress hormone. It helps you in lots of different areas, like in times of fight or flight, like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it gets a little out of control where we can't handle it when we are in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, because of our dang adrenal gland.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of cortisol? That's really what it is. And that adrenal gland is like, oh, your ovaries, they're no longer producing estrogen. I'm sorry, cortisol. I'm going to have to kick you to the curb because I'm producing a little bit of estradiol for this woman. And that's really what happens. The adrenal gland's just like, I'm sending you on your way. Cortisol, good luck. And then it just automatically goes too high.
And I think, like everything that Tina just said, if you're like me, you're like, huh? Because a couple of years ago, I didn't even know what cortisol was. All of a sudden, we started to hear the word cortisol go through our social media. People started to talk about it. And I was like, oh my God. And automatically we are made to think, oh my gosh, all cortisol is bad. And as Tina said, cortisol is just your stress hormone. The problem is if your stress hormone is always up, you're always in fight or flight. You're always ready to fight the tiger, so to speak. And in this day and age, if you're in rush hour traffic, if your phone is notifying you every 2 seconds, there's always something going on. And so how can we understand what it is, navigate it, and again, knowing when it's good, when it's bad, and what we can do to kind of just calm ourselves down, in this crazy day and age, right?
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing is you said, you were saying, kind of day-to-day daily stressors, but also when we get to this midlife age, we just don't put up with the BS anymore. Right. So then it gets us up. We're like, people annoy us a little bit more because they just don't have common sense or whatever it is, in your day-to-day life. And then the other thing is that you take other people's worries on. For instance, caring for an elderly parent, right? Like that end of life care, or, as they become more debilitated with age, and you have that love and then that feeling of responsibility. It is important. It's important to do that. It's the circle of life, right? To be able to have the privilege of caring for our parents. But that is stressful.
It is stressful.
Super stressful.
Yeah. And, boundaries is such a big thing in our life, which I think as we get older, we're so used to the different roles that we play, whether it's an employee or an employer or a business owner or a caregiver. It's also remembering that we have to also set boundaries around our own time and our own energy, just so that, I remember, you've probably heard this, but, we've got to put our own oxygen mask on first, because if we don't, we can't help anybody. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we just really have to be mindful of that. And sometimes all that has to mean is just a few minutes throughout your day, just to get you grounded, bring you back to earth, know that you're safe and you're good.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And I think to myself too, there are so many things that are signs that our cortisol is high. And the worst part is that because our cortisol is high naturally in menopause, our circadian rhythm is off, right? So that is those 3 o'clock wake up calls, that's cortisol, right? Mm-hmm. So introduction of abdominal fat. That's cortisol. We have cortisol receptors in our abdomen. I talk about it all the time. And they actually, when our cortisol is high, recruit fat from other areas of our body to land along our waistline. So most times people have the high cortisol and they are like tired, wired, puffy, all the things. But what's bugging them the most is that their waistline.
Yeah.
You know, they don't realize that like all those other things are also cortisol.
And
all of it together.
That's where as women we protect ourselves. You know, that goes way, way back. You know, it's not a, you know, this is where our body wants to always protect. We're women, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where our body, when we are in fear or fight or flight, our body naturally just wants to protect the womb area. That's, am I wrong? I think that's.
No.
Yeah.
You're right.
Interesting.
You're right. And I think today what we're going to do is try to give some like practical stuff, like how you can support your cortisol levels, especially to like not from like a young woman's point of view, from that midlife point of view. Because let me tell you something, when I talk about intermittent fasting, raising our cortisol levels are already high. People that intermittent fast when they're young, bing, bang, boom, do it. I think men should intermittent fast. But once you reach that stage where your estrogen is out of whack or no estrogen at all, then kind of like, wait a minute, my cortisol is already high. The intermittent fasting is going to make it higher. What happens is women our age, they will intermittent fast and they're like, it's amazing. I lost 10 pounds or I lost 12 pounds. And then all of a sudden, nothing. They're eating right inside their small window. They're fasting. They're still eating like good food. Deadline. Because they've raised their cortisol so high, their metabolism completely stalls. Then you have the issue of trying to reignite the metabolism. Right. So we're going to talk about it today a little bit. And I think I did talk about like it waking you up and that sort of thing. But
first let's before we get into, so let's talk about what are the signs, like, you know, what are the signs that you might actually have high cortisol? You know, I know for myself for a while, it was, you know, again, waking up between 2 and 4 in the morning, or what else? I think that was the biggest thing for me, that and having a hard time going to bed, waking up middle of the night, like having to go to the bathroom all the time. Like, ugh. What did you experience? Have you ever, well, you're pretty good with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good now, but I wasn't for sure. Some of the things, like you said, the poor sleep is like, I think it's the first indicator for us, because we can't understand why all of a sudden we used to sleep so well and we don't. But you will feel stressed, like you feel on edge, you feel stressed. The other thing is you're always wanting that hit. You're looking for caffeine, like that caffeine kind of feeling. So you're kind of crashing a lot, looking for that caffeine feeling. You can be really moody, like complete emotional overload, right? Yeah. All of those things for sure. And your blood sugar is going to swing.
Yeah.
When you're
That's
stressed.
why, you know, back to our previous episode, the nutrition piece is so important for us. That calm, definitely. Feeling more satiated, feeling like you can navigate your day a little bit better without being hangry or like, yeah. I know I will get if I don't eat properly, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Eating cans of tuna on the side of the road. Okay. So anyways, despite all these signs of like a high cortisol, it doesn't mean like that you're failing. It just means you need to support your body differently, right? For sure. Like it's not, you just need to give it support.
Yeah.
And I think some of the things are you know, like don't get so worked up about it. Like I said, like we talked about the nutrition last week, and that helps with a lot of the symptoms, like the inflammation, sleep, like all of those sorts of things. Also like practicing some sort of meditative self-care.
Yeah.
I don't like little things that you can do.
Well, it is really training your body to feel safe, right? And I know, and I think a lot of women can relate to this. Sometimes, again, if you feel like you're in survival mode all the time, you know what I mean? How can we like teach our bodies that we're feeling safe? And I know for myself, like end of night, turning off the phone, creating more of a calm atmosphere for ourselves, going to bed slowly or taking a hot bath. I mean, a hot bath is like the best thing in the world, for me personally, but sometimes we don't have time for a bath, or we just clean the bath and we don't want to ruin it, So it's, finding those little moments throughout our day as well, where we can kind of just take a time out. And if we have to breathe, I love guided meditations, but again, maybe at your desk, it's not always an easy thing to do. What would your favorite self-care practice be throughout the day? If you feel like you are like in go, high stress mode, what would be your ideal timeout?
Well, I think one of the things, and I tell this to a lot of people, like even like in our business, like we are always on and we're on social media all the time, and we are doing social retail. It's how we make a living, like all of those things. It can get high stress when you're trying to like cover all the bases and cover all the bases and cover all the bases. And I will often hear like from other ladies, like in our realm of work, or also people that I'm helping, like as far as their health. And I always say the same thing. And it's always what I do too, is I go outside and I go for a walk.
Oh my gosh. Walking is the most underrated exercise there is. Amazing during midlife for our fitness, for our health, but also for our mental health and our cortisol levels. It's just everything.
Yeah. Now, and I think like you talked about like that breathing, sort of thing. And one of the things you can do, like when you first get outside, is you like do that, like a big inhale, and then like count to 4 slowly out, and do like 4 of those. And then even if it's you have 10 minutes, walk away from the building at work or at home or whatever it is for 5 minutes and turn around and come back. Right before you go in the door, do those 4 big breaths again. Trust me, you are going to feel so much better.
Amazing. Also, can I talk about, when it comes to movement, since we talked about walking, especially in midlife. Oh, and by the way, I just want to throw this in right now, because yesterday we threw it in at the end of the episode. We talk about a lot of these things in a private community. And so, if this conversation is of any interest to you and you feel like you'd love a community to surround you, to guide you, to help you, or you quietly just want to dip into our free resources within the group, please, type group down below in the comments. We'll be happy to get you in there. As I said yesterday, over 64,000 women in there. We are forever growing, and very engaged, beautiful group that's there to support you. So if it's things like this, especially, life has changed from the time you were in your 30s, 20s and 30s to now all of a sudden in your 40s. I'm turning 50. I can't believe it. It's crazy how things change, and how we do have to, and I don't like to say have to, I like to say we get to walk into this season feeling more empowered than a woman 20 years ago. We know so much more now on how to navigate this season in our life, and we can do it together. So we have an amazing group. So type group down in the comments. I mean, it's just full of stuff for you. But when it comes to movement, I mean, gone are the days where we do hit workouts, and because that is some of the worst things you can do for raising your cortisol, right?
Mm-hmm.
Age appropriate exercise, like Tina is a master at age appropriate exercise, and age appropriate kind of feels like it ages you, right? It's like age appropriate, because we all still feel like we're in our 20s, but we're just not. So
yeah, no, it's true. And one of the things I say is like, going to like group exercise classes, like all those things really good. If you are incorporating weights or resistance bands, that's super important that we offer like resistance. But when you're thinking about doing some form of cardio or whatever, it doesn't mean like if you're walking and you decide, I'm going to do walking for weight loss, which by the way, we have a free guide in that group that Vanessa was talking about. And we also, inside that group, I'm happy to say, have like a 30-year Les Mills Fitness Pro. And she has, I think we have 28 different classes that are menopause appropriate exercise sitting in the guides in that group for free. Yeah. Right. Think about it, because you're not going to the 25-year-old personal trainer who's got you huffing and puffing. The big goal is to stay, if you look at a heart rate chart, in your 50 to 70% of your max heart rate for your age. That is the zone you want to function in. You don't want to function in the 80%. You don't want to be working out where your heart goes up and raises and stays raised for like even 2 or 3 minutes, like and then you slowly calm down. It's just going to raise your cortisol. But you can have like super fly, super fit body, like all the things by doing just like walking for weight loss. And I can't say, I think the resistance exercise is really huge, only because like I'm 60. Well, when I'm 70, I still want to be able to bend over to tie my shoes, carry the groceries in, reach up, climb a ladder to get something down, carry my suitcases somewhere. Like those are the things you need to be thinking about. It's hard to think about it at 40 or 45, but in all honesty, like, you know, you can carry yourself healthy into your late years, because everybody, guys, did you know that women live statistically much longer than men, but they live longer in poor health?
Interesting. You know,
so we have the longevity factor, but we're in poor health in the end of, like, you know, maybe the last 20 years or whatever, whereas men will like die earlier. Why do you want to live in poor health? Come on, let's go.
When I used to be someone who, you know, was like, I just want to be in shape and I want to lose the weight and I want to have the fit body and da 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 da. And while we all want that, you know, my whole perspective really shifted when I'm just going to talk about it. But when I found my dad on the floor a few years ago and he was unable to get himself off the floor, and I started to really dive into, how do I want to age? And I remember when I was younger, my grandmother, you know, she would be walking home with her groceries. And I always think, wow, I mean, obviously she couldn't lift as much as she used to, you know, so heavier shops. But, you know, it really made me think about, you know, at one point, my mobility might go down, my strength might go down. So what are the things that I can do today that's really going to help, you know, as I age and get older? And you really hit the nail on the head. I think about, you know, being able to empty the dishwasher, put my dishes into the cupboard, you know, simple things that we take for granted in this stage of life, right? It's just so important. Bone density is massive. And I know we're supposed to be talking about cortisol, but there was a crazy statistic that I heard that women between the ages of 60 and 70, I think 70% will have a fragility fracture between those ages, and 30% of those women with this fragility fracture will actually die.
Well, a lot of hip fractures go into the hospital for the replacement, end up with pneumonia, and then it's over.
Yeah, or they're bedridden and they can't move. You know what I mean? They just can't be mobile. And so it's just a crazy, for me, it's a crazy statistic, and one of the reasons why I'm just so passionate about, you know, this conversation, for sure.
Yeah. I just want to, like, you know, as we get close to closing out here, that there are like a few things that you can do. It's really, really important that you follow the food plan that we gave you in the last episode. Only, I'm just saying that because like food and blood sugar support are super key in controlling our cortisol.
Mhm.
And I think, so we talked about, and I'm just going to say it really fast, and we talked about protein and then fiber in the form of carbohydrates and healthy fats. Because if you're somebody who undereats, and a majority of women our age, they say, I don't have time to eat. And I usually don't get to eat until, supper or stuff like that, that run on like caffeine, like, a lot of coffee a day, and are under eating, you are exacerbating this problem. Right. So by jumping on to tweak your food just a little bit, which I think for some people it might be a lot, like a big tweak, but super duper important, that is going to help you control the cortisol. And then the last part, because we need sleep so bad, and we've got to get that cortisol under control. We talked about, like Vanessa said, like the way you exercise and what you do and how important it is, or finding those calming times during the day. But if you protect your evenings, and like you said, get out of the scroll hole, don't scroll in bed, have some sort of pre-routine before bed, that sort of thing. The other thing is that you can, like a lot of women, use magnesium, right? Make sure you're using the right magnesium to help you. So there are so many different magnesiums. Like if you're constipated, you use citrate. Right. But if you want to rest, you use magnesium bisglycinate. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So don't mix them up just by going, oh,
it's magnesium.
Right. And I don't know how to say this, because I'm not trying to say anything bad about any brand. Okay. But if you see something that says, like, for instance, calm, go please turn it around and look at the ingredients. Because the calm powder it's not even, it was like a salt of magnesium. It wasn't even the right magnesium. And that's something that made me like completely aware, like, oh my gosh, I'm looking for this exact magnesium. The other thing you can do too is sometimes what's nice, instead of taking a magnesium capsule, to use a magnesium powder that you could mix in a drink, because you can mix it with warm water. And so that then you're having a warm magnesium drink, right? Other people also are utilizing like magnesium essential, like some form of essential oil, where you see people putting it on the bottom of their feet.
Or magnesium spray. Yeah,
like,
you can make a homemade one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Like those things are important, and they become kind of part of your routine. So
I just want to say, side note though, about the magnesium oil, because I tried to make one at home, and I did, and it was great. But please be warned, you will get oil on your floors. Okay.
Oh, because you're spraying.
Yeah, so you have to be a little bit mindful of, do I put a towel down every time I spray my feet? And then you're gonna walk. So, that's one thing. Just a little side note there.
So right. And so those are the kind of things that you can be aware of. But again, right, it went straight back to nutrition, like the first pillar.
Always.
Yeah. And then also too, I think, inside our group, we talk a lot about, and we're teaching people something that's like kind of new in wellness technology. We are talking about therapeutic peptides. They are new to the layperson. To an integrative health specialist, and I took my integrative health course. When you talk about integrative health, it is kind of neat, because the integrative health specialist looks at every single thing that goes on in a person's life. So you go into see that integrative health doctor, and they don't just look at your blood tests and look at your body profile and talk about blood sugars. They go, oh, what's your work environment like? Do you sit under fluorescent lights? Do you sit in a cubicle? How often, do you work 5 to 7 days a week? How many hours a week do you work? What's your home environment? Do you live near places where there's too much pollution, like in the middle of the city? They look at all these different aspects of your life. And how do you move your body? What's your sleep patterns like? What's your eating pattern? They look at all of those things. Integrative health specialists have been utilizing therapeutic peptides to help their patients for the last 15 years. Insulin is a peptide, right? Invented in 1921, right? athletes and biohackers, and you see all those biohackers everywhere, like amazing people. Gary Brecka really was like one of the first people that started to bring this like longevity thing and live long and prosper, not just live long and prosper.
Yeah.
They have been using those therapeutic peptides forever as well. And now we're just finding out that by utilizing therapeutic peptides, we're changing the way women in menopause are functioning in menopause.
Yeah.
Why do the athletes just get to use it? What are these people saying, these experts, these doctors, about longevity and living and prospering and feeling healthy and everything again? Now it's just getting introduced. I say a year from now, the whole world will understand the value of therapeutic peptides. For now, it's like just in the process of, we need to educate people more.
Correct. I've just been amazed at what a difference I feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely incredible. If you've ever struggled with any perimenopause symptoms, and I'm not saying that this is going to replace hormones, it is not. But what it will do is create a healthier environment for the hormones you have. And I'll tell you, I have been feeling so more like myself again. And I think that's been a common theme, is like the women who have been struggling in our age demographic with the ups and downs of all the symptoms have been feeling better. Yes, the body as well, of course. It's like it's giving me all the goods, but it has this feeling like we haven't felt in a long time. I have messages. I could show you how many. It's just crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like the peptides that we're focused on are, you know, like one blend that helps us with our NAD, which is our young, healthful cells, blocks NNMT, which is a fat hoarding enzyme we actually have in our body. Please. What? You know, like, why didn't we know this before? You know, sort of thing. And also helps reignite our metabolism, helps trigger fat burning, right? And also a mimetic of exercise. So for those people that are sitting all day at work, like, you know, you're still getting that. And then the other thing, the other like therapeutic peptide that we're really sharing with our demographic has something to do with healing of tissues, healing our gut, taking away inflammation. And then I did not know anything about a copper peptide at all.
I only knew topically, not internally. Yeah,
exactly. Replenishing your skin, hair, nails, all of those things. So these are the things we're sharing targeted. I got, like, again, targeted therapeutic peptides, not just everything out there. And yeah, I think it's phenomenal.
I think it's the most exciting thing I've come across in a long time. Yeah.
It's because a complete internal reset.
Yeah.
Starts inside, but then shows outside. The best. We're going to do a I'm not sure it will be tomorrow or the following day. Let's do a really good in-depth look at peptides, what they do, you know, all the things. I think that's what we're going to do for those that are watching. And if you have any questions about that, type PEP in the comments, PEP. We'd be happy to send you information. Of course, if you're watching this on Tina's page, you know, type it over there in the comments, or if you're watching it on mine, you can type it in mine, and I'd be happy to send you some information for yourself. So we'll definitely follow up with a great episode about that. I think for today, you've got a minute left, and this is what I want to say.
Okay.
Last time I gave like, hey, give yourself a little 7-day check on like, like giving something up. That sort of thing.
Okay.
This is what I want you to do as far as your cortisol goes. Like, do this for yourself, like kind of like a 7-day plan.
I love your little personal challenges. I think that's great. Yeah.
How about starting with going for a walk? And like I said, if you've never walked before, walk 5 minutes away from your house and 5 minutes back. If you say, I have 20 minutes to walk 10 minutes away from your house or your work and 10 minutes back. Those sorts of things. That's the first thing, because we all talked about how that is like totally calming, is to get yourself outside and breathe some fresh air. I want you to try breakfast that has protein in it. You decide. I mean, we've got protein guys. We've got all the things, girls. We've got all the things. We got lots of stuff we could share with you, right? And make sure you're drinking some water in the day. And then last but not least, and this will be the hardest for all of us, is that downshift your night routine. Whether
Yes.
you're going to like 15 minutes before say, okay, no more scrolling. I'm not scrolling while I'm lying in the bed, those sorts of things. Having a warm drink, having magnesium. That's it.
Or even as simple as if your phone is your alarm, which it is mine, you set your alarm, you put it in another room, and you go to bed. You know what I mean? Like just not having it next to your bed, easy to grab.
That's a great idea, Vanessa.
All right, my friend. Well, happy day, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you tomorrow. And we're always here to help if you need us. Ciao for now.